Okay, I think actually my intention of coming here is to hear views.
Sorry, you are?
I miss to lying here. Not lying, but it's quite honest in my opinion. I'm from Singapore Social Worker Association. Though my earlier part I'm doing social work, but later part I'm in HR management, but I'm still very much a social worker by heart and by faith. What happened is the thought that is going around really stimulated me to give my 2 cents of worth of my feeling of things. I am proud to be a woman because I can woman. And I'm also very proud that at this stage, people always complain that you are menopause. And then at the same time I'm saying this is that personally I feel Singapore is the best place to make a living. There are plenty of jobs. So long you work, there are jobs. Okay? I also feel that Singapore is the best place to raise family because there are a lot of support from various sources. And come to the part that whether we are, the last question, best place to spend several years, I ask myself, my friends has migrated. My cousins have migrated to Australia. And when they ask me, when at the latest part of your silver year, whether you will migrate, I say no. Is it that I'm a very proud Singaporean? Because there are things that I cherish in Singapore. There's one. Until this point of time, we still keep very close link with our primary school friends, our secondary school friends. I met our teachers who are now 70s, 80s. And when they see them, I go remember teacher beat me. So the thought is there. The tie is there. And whether there's also one thing I realize because I'm in HR, I do regional job. I travel between Singapore and Malaysia. The day before, I asked my staff, can you download some of your workload to other people? Because she is doing a maternity claim, childcare claim. She said, Mrs. Stowe, no need. I said, why? No business. Then I said, we have 550 employees, why no business? Because our aging profile. So I have another man I need to highlight is, whenever we forget things, we say, we are dementia. So I keep on hearing this word, we are aging. But in spite of that, I have another very great concern because most of our female employees face another problem, infertility. And when they face infertility, it's a very stressful situation. And how to help them to overcome this? In fact, practically every month I face a situation. Face until the IVF, finish the 2 cycle, go to Malaysia also try, come back, still don't have. Then I will tell myself, how come I travel to Malaysia, each time I go, I found somebody pregnant, but come to Singapore, got no business. There's one thing I think we cannot change, space. We got no space, we are very crowded. And then the other thing is, because I'm in voluntary welfare line, we provide services, childcare services, elderly services, residential services. We deal with broken family. One very common thing is, suddenly I realize, as we grow older, children will emphasize play, play with each other. When we grow older, we don't play. So we don't play, we don't relax. That's some common thing. And then the other thing I realized, IT. Not only young people. I don't talk to my girl very much because I was so tired after work. She kept awake between 12 midnight to 2 p.m. Twitter, Facebook, and whatever. Until I sent her email and she replied me, Mom, I got 2 email address. That email is my former address for Polytechnic to communicate with me. You send the email to my personal. I said, girl, you got so many email addresses. Mother talk to you, I must choose which address. So I think in a way, I have a lot of time. But in a way, I get communicated with a lot of my friends, no matter where they are, whether they're in the States, in Australia, because of email. But personally, as a Singaporean, I am very proud to be a Singaporean. I tell you a joke that the Singapore flag joke. We have a pastor might have to minister in another country, so to bring the children along. And I have this real story recently when I traveled to Malaysia. Because Singapore National Day is in August. Malaysia Day, National Day is also in August. So the teacher teach the children to draw the national flag. So the pastor, the girl actually from Singapore, draw a Singapore flag. She did not score because they expect that the theme is now we're celebrating our Malaysia Day. But I find that why that girl draw the Singapore flag? Because from young, even they leave the country, the parents still remind them that you are from Singapore. One day you're coming back to our country. That's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually just wanted to take you up on your offer to say a few words about aging, which is something that I think women have to be very much aware of, because where we are now is a situation where we have a longer life expectancy than men. But however, the health of an elderly woman is very often much lower than that of an elderly man, because you're prone to so many more illnesses, especially things like, the doctors will tell me, it's osteoporosis, and even mental diseases like dementia, because the latest studies show that the bigger your head is, the more brain cells you have, and therefore more you have to lose. And men have larger heads than women, so we are much more vulnerable to mental diseases as well. Given that a lot of our elderly women here did not work in their youth and don't have their own CPF accounts, actually what happens in many circumstances is that the CPF is used up by the first illness in the family, which is usually the male. By the time it comes to the wife or the woman's old age, there's hardly anything left, and she is usually then at the mercy of her children. So I think that it may be a somewhat difficult thought to accept now, but is there any way that we can think of making CPF a family CPF that can be, in a sense, apportioned between the different needy members of a family, especially in the cases of women who have not worked and are unable to qualify for any CPF on their own, but have devoted their lives towards being homemakers and making sure that the rest of the family, the husband and the children, have the best in their lives. Thank you.
Mrs. Lim, DPM, and Ms. Wu, thank you so much for just letting me speak one more time, because I thought I just had to bring up one thing, which is care of the elderly. I think for a lot of people who are not so privileged to have maids and all that, and have to struggle for a living, if you have 2 people working in a family, and an elderly family member in our extended sort of family situation falls ill, it is very hard to find help in that sense. And a lot of elderly patients suffer from chronic illness, paralysis, strokes, and there's a lot of care involved. So perhaps we could look towards, I don't know, it's just a suggestion, maybe daycare centers for elderly, more of that, just to help people who in which both husband and wife work, and also live with their parents to give them some caregiver sort of relief as well. Thank you.
I'm actually a teacher, and I've been in the education industry for 25 years. So I think just to link the previous question with this one.
Sorry, you are? Your name?
My name is Mei Hong. In my long time in the teaching industry, it's only in the last 5 or around that time I actually see teaching colleagues who are married who have decided not to have children. I think school is one of the places where you get people having children, and really loving children, and I think that's the reason why they're in teaching. But I must say that in the last few years, I've seen a growing trend among my married colleagues who have consciously decided not to have children. And sometimes, of course, I speak to them and ask them why, And sad to say, one of the things is that when I look at the kids that are in the school now, I don't want to have them.
Do they have dogs, may I ask?
The ones that I know of, no, they don't really have animals either. But, I don't know, of course, I have to qualify that these stories are actually anecdotal. So I'm not saying there's a trend and all that, but the increasing number, yes, I see. The other thing I noticed is that these...
What is it about the kids at the school now that...
No, okay, they are a handful in the sense that they need a lot of attention, they have very high expectations, and then the other thing is, of course, I don't want to be like the parents that my kids' parents are. If I have kids like that, I'm going to think that maybe I'll end up being like these parents as well, being so worried about the kids, so stressed out by the kids and so on. They think that we will have a better life without the kids. Okay, that's the story about it. The other thing is that a lot of the benefits that we've talked about earlier is really targeted at people being directly benefiting either the mothers or the fathers or the babies themselves. Actually, I think that there are other factors involved because I would have heard of people who say that, no, I'm not having children. Look what happens when I get old. My children have to take care of me, like what I'm doing for my parents now. And I'm not getting enough support to look after my elderly parents. I don't want to do that to my children, so I'm not having the children. So it's not only about direct benefits to babies, mothers, and fathers. We really have to look at the other people around them. Unrecorded leave, for example. Now, yes, childcare and unrecorded leave, there are lots of options. You can even take leave without having to submit an MC for the child. But how about elderly care leave? Can they take leave to look after their parents, seek their parents for hospitalization, visits, and so on? We need to look at that before they actually have children so that the kids won't turn out like what my colleagues is worried about, right? Maybe we actually have to really look at parenting for young parents because we meet a lot of parents in the school and sometimes we look at the parents and say, why do they treat their children like that? No wonder the child behaves in that manner. So sometimes the irony is that the people who come for the parenting talks are really the people who don't need it. Because they already have the interest to find out. And they will have found out a lot of things. But the people we need to reach, they are not coming in. So is there some way we can reach them? Right? And these colleagues of mine who don't have children, I'm not saying it's... I don't have any research or anything to back it up, but they are Singaporeans. And the people, because in school there are a lot of Malaysians as well who are PRs in Singapore. They are the ones who are having kids. They have 2 kids, 3 kids. All right? And I don't know what it is. Maybe like DPM Teo says, it's too well planned in Singapore. So when they think about kids running around the house, messing up their things, putting things in their stereo system or poking their speakers, I think the fathers might freak out. And then the mothers also don't want them running about in the house. So maybe we need to tolerate a little bit more of ambiguity. That's one. The other thing is that things are very neatly compartmentalized in Singapore. I'm not saying that I want it any other way. All right, it's really nice to have them all, really in place. But things could be like a full school where children, right, actually are exposed to each other from the 4-year-olds who are in the kindergarten and the nursery right up to the JC people who are 18 years old. And then they have this sense that there is a continuity and that you're not compartmentalized in the 12 to 16-year-olds and the 17 and the 18-year-olds and then the 6 to 12-year-olds. I don't know. I mean, it's just a wild idea that's off my head. But maybe this is an environment that you can encourage. And then also the message to the people. When I go into Malaysia, for example, I see there, I can read Malay, so they say the old people first. And really, when the old people come to the counters, right, they get served immediately. So the message is there that your parents are important, handicapped people are important, young people are important, and they really get service first. And nobody complains. I mean, people like our age, we are still strong and healthy, right? Nobody complains, but they'll just allow these people. So some of these are very subtle educational messages that are around, that you don't have to tell people, but they get the message. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening.